Did you ever get an apology from a narcissist and you're like questioning, is this actually real? Like they've never apologized before. Now they're apologizing. Like what is actually happening? Like maybe you've never received an apology ever. And a lot of times that's true with a lot of narcissists. But what happens when a narcissist actually says, I'm sorry? Like, can a narcissist actually feel remorse? Do they actually apologize for the actions? What do you do when you get an apology or when you get an I'm sorry from a narcissistic individual? We're going to talk through some of these concepts because apologies in the hands of toxic people can be very detrimental. Like apologies by themselves can be powerful tools for you healing, for repairing relationships, for developing things. But when it comes to narcissistic individuals, a lot of times the sincerity and the meaning behind the apologies can be really questionable. Did he actually mean it? Or he said, I'm sorry, but then he did it again. So did he actually mean it? Did he actually care? So we're going to dive into that. Some of the complexities of what's actually going on in apologies. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to help provide awareness about narcissistic abuse, to provide clarity of the confusion and the crazy making that you're going through of like, am I in a narcissistic relationship? How do I break a trauma bond? How do I get out of the rumination? If you want to talk to me, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to help you move forward in your healing, in your growth, in your change to find the version of you that you actually want to unlock. Like that person that you know is inside you, that person that's confident, has clarity, has certainty about where they're actually going versus the version of you right now that has been in the pit, that has been in the struggle, that has been in the hard times with this toxic person. You're not sure if you can get out. The problem is you're also not sure if what they're saying is real, if what they're saying is true. So we need to talk through some of these aspects of an apology. Okay, first off would be a manipulative apology. Narcissists are skilled at using apologies as manipulation to maintain control, surprise, right? And to keep you entangled in the relationship. Okay, you get to the place of saying like, I can't believe you did this. This is awful. They never apologized, and all of a sudden they apologize, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I finally got an apology. Like I finally got them to say something, to actually respond to me, to actually fix the problem. There is hope. And it keeps you in the relationship even longer, even though their actions don't change. Sometimes you'll see this in the form of like where you feel like it's genuine, where you feel like he actually means it this time. But you notice that they either lack the true remorse or it's only intended to disarm and manipulate you even further. Okay, there was majority of the time of the relationship, I never, ever, ever said that I was sorry. Why? Because I didn't think I was wrong. I couldn't actually say the words, I was wrong. Literally, like the first 6 years of marriage or so, I never could even say it. Like it wouldn't even like physically come out because it didn't exist in my world because it wasn't true. I was the best, so like I couldn't be wrong. And so there's a piece of like I hurt someone else, it wasn't me. It couldn't be me. So I didn't apologize and never apologize. Sometimes the apologies were like half-hearted apologies that were just manipulation of like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry. But it didn't actually change anything. Didn't actually show any difference. A lot of times you're going to see like your narcissistic partner like apologize for something that's being really hurtful. But then they'll repeat the same behavior shortly after. Like they'll repeat the same behavior like the same day. Like, I'm sorry I hurt you. And then you go do something. Oh, like I hurt you again. Oh, I'm sorry I hurt you. You go do it. Oh, I'm sorry I hurt you. Like a lot of times you'll be like, whoa, like I don't get it. But in the moment you slowly get conditioned of like, oh, they're sorry now. Oh, they did it again. Oh, they're sorry now. Oh, they did it again. Oh, they're sorry now. And it starts to like put you back and forth on this intermittent reinforcement. When this intermittent reinforcement like comes full bore, you've got a trauma bond. You've got something that's leaving you stuck in an addictive quality to this toxic person. A lot of times narcissist apologies are going to be empty words. Like they're aimed at just pacifying the situation, like making you like calm down on the moment. But there's no intention of changing. There's no modification that's actually happening. There's no like behavioral side of like, I'm going to do different now. I'm going to be better. A lot of times we'll see this because narcissists will be like, yeah, I'm sorry that I did that. And then I'm like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, next time I just won't be as bad. Next time I won't be as abusive. Next time I will talk nicer. I'm not making these up. These are like real conversations that I've had with people that they've said these things. And I'm just kind of like sitting there like, that's not going to cut it. Like until you actually want this and want to work on a plan of changing your behavior, nothing will actually change. You're just going to modify bits and pieces that will eventually fall to the side. Another piece when we talk about narcissism and says I'm sorry is this piece of like a lack of accountability. Okay, narcissists do not want to take accountability for their actions. So like, I did not want to take accountability or responsibility for anything that happened, unless it was a good thing, unless it made me look good, unless it made me feel good. But a lot of times when narcissists apologize, it's typically in a way that they don't acknowledge the role or the harm that they actually caused. Like I kind of mentioned before, I'm sorry that you feel this way. I'm sorry that this happened. And it's not just like, hey, I caused this. Like, I'm sorry that I caused this. Will you forgive me? Like, I'm sorry that this is what I did. Instead, it has to be about everyone else. It is not about them. Okay? The reason why it can't be about them, the reason why it cannot be about a narcissist is narcissists can't deal with the guilt, can't deal with the shame, and as a result, they have to blame it and they have to rage it on other people. Like, it can't be me. So narcissists like, it has to be you. You have to be the one. It can't be me. You see this in their apologies. You see this in their interactions of not being able to acknowledge, not being able to actually hold responsibility for the things that they've done. Like, this is very, very, very rare that a narcissist actually understands and takes responsibility of saying, hey, I did this wrong. This is what I did. But instead, it has to be someone else's fault. Shifting blame onto someone else, making excuses, or just gaslighting you and saying, like, you don't even know what you're talking about. And undermine the sincerity of the apology. Like, you'll see this over and over and over again. Like, sometimes you might even see this in a parent-child relationship, okay? Narcissistic parent may apologize for something they said that was, like, super hurtful, that it caused this argument, but then quickly follows it up with, you made me say that. If you hadn't provoked me, I wouldn't have reacted that way. Maybe you've seen this in your own relationship. If you hadn't talked to me that way, I would have not yelled. If you'd respected me, then I would have stuck around. If you'd loved me more, if you'd listened to me more, then I wouldn't have cheated on you. Oftentimes deflecting accountability of like, I did something wrong, don't want to deal with it, so that book goes back onto you. Blaming you, changing it. Like and what it does, it erodes the genuineness of the apology. Like the apology isn't genuine. Like there's actually nothing there in the apology. It's just making you feel and look a certain way and feeling like, oh, it might be better now because they apologize. Like, no. There's no accountability, so it's not really an apology. Just saying I'm sorry actually doesn't cut it. It's not good enough of an actual apology. Narcissists use apologies as these manipulative tactics to keep you in a way to maintain control, to maintain power over you. Think of it this way. Narcissists oftentimes use them to create this false vulnerability, okay? Now, a lot of times I've talked about false vulnerability as it being like something oftentimes at the beginning of the relationship, sharing about past trauma, past abuse, past things that have happened in the relationship that have just been really hard on the narcissist, right? So they use that and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. They get your sympathy, they get your empathy, and then later down the road, like that still is there and they use that as like victim status, but they're not vulnerable in the moment. This is why I normally talk about honesty, vulnerability, and consistent change. Because honesty is telling the truth about stuff. Vulnerability is expressing your feelings and emotions about stuff. It's like honesty 2.0. It's like the next level. Narcissists typically won't access this level because it has to deal with what's actually going on inside, what they're feeling, what they're going through, the emotions, like all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, I don't want to deal with shame. I don't want to communicate these things, but instead I'll exploit it from you and I'll try to do whatever I can do to stay in the relationship. Like this will keep the abuse cycle going over and over and over and keep you trapped. Think of it in a different way of a narcissist that realizes like what's actually happening. Like the abusive behavior is negatively affecting other people. Maybe in a team setting, a group setting, a church setting, a work setting, whatever. And like it might come across of like there's a heartfelt apology, and typically it's done in a way to be able to gain favor. Like I look better now. But oftentimes this is a calculated move to appease the team, to appease the people around there, and get their loyalty back, rather than a genuine desire for personal growth, for personal change, and actually owning it. Narcissist doesn't want to own the shit that's inside. They don't want to own the things that are going through their head. They don't want to own that they actually hurt you. So there's this question of like when we talk about narcissists saying, I'm sorry, that it's like, wait a second, like do they actually understand that this isn't a sorry, like this is an apology? At the end of the day, there's also a piece that like they understand to the point where they don't care. Like they understand that like, hey, this is the one thing I can say that's going to fix the problem so that I'm no longer held accountable and so that we can move past this because I don't want to deal with this. There's not a process of them uncovering themselves and saying, hey, this is what's going on, so I need to work on this. It's not like, I'm just sorry that you feel that way so I can do what I want to do. Like, it might be the place where you're struggling to navigate like the complexities of this, of like, how do I actually heal from this? How do I actually move forward? And you're like, I want to be able to get free. You can join our 7-day challenge for $7 at escapetoxicity.com. You can click the link down below, click the link in any of our bios and any social media. Like, it's guided there to help you step by step to understand narcissistic abuse, to understand the games that you're getting played with. Like the manipulation tactics of how it's triggering you to have reactive abuse, how it's triggering you to have guilt in your life, how it's triggering you to stay and be immobilized in the trauma bond and not actually leave. If you're at the place where like, it's great, I'll check that out, but I want to learn more, I want to do more, I want to move faster in my healing process, then reach out for help. You can go to rawmotivation.com. You can click on the one-on-ones. Would love to help you. Would love to work with you to help move you forward. We accelerate people inside our Thriver community. Like, that's the goal. Acceleration, like helping people be accountable, like working on really helping them achieve the goals that they're actually looking for. Because it's one thing, we have to take you on a healing journey to break you out of it. Then we have to change it into a growth mindset and say, like, where are we going? Because when we latch onto where we're going, you start to define who you are. You start to define your boundaries. And as a result, you don't let toxic people actually pull you off the direction you're trying to go. So check that out. rawmotivations.com. Click on the one-on-ones. Would love to talk to you. Hope you have a blessed day. Stay narc-free. And be careful when that narcissist says, I'm sorry.